Hi, Julie Torrens here. So I'm continuing on making some sheets that are going to go into a writing journal for myself. I'm getting back into journaling. So what I did was I just have an 8.5 by 11 sheet of watercolor paper that I've taped down with washi. And then I took a cereal bowl, made a circle, and then I'm going to be using the center for my writing. So if you think about half, it'll be writing over here, and then somewhere back in the journal, I'll be writing over here. So I'm going to just take my eraser, and this is just I think it's a polymer eraser. They're always white, but I think it does the least amount of damage to your paper, your watercolor paper. And I'm just using Amazon's basic watercolor paper. Use what you have, but I do recommend that you use a watercolor paper or like a mixed media paper, something that's designed, put a light on here. Something that's designed to get wet. I have my Rosa Gallery paint, and this is going to be the center of a flower. Like I said, just a cereal bowl that I used. And then we're going to make all the petals all the way around. And then will I color this? Well, we'll just have to see. Let's see how this goes. I'm using a big brush. This is a Simply Simmons number 10 round brush. Again, use what you have. I'm going to start here with these two petals, just so that, and I went, a little like a ripply edge, and I'm going to fill this all in with water. I want these petals to look kind of transparent. And I'm just going to use this color here called Madder Red, and it's what I would call a warm red. And the reason why I'm not mixing a color, but I am going to put some water in my palette. You can just use a paper plate. I don't want to have to mix colors and try to come up with the same color. So I'm using a very watery red, and I'm just going to start filling in where I put the water. And I want it to just move and bleed and just do what watercolor does best. Good. Now I can see that my water went out further than my paint, so I'm just bringing the color, the pigment, out to the edge of the flower or the petal. Okay, I'm gonna let this one set for a minute, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And I'm really not worried about the petals being the same, like from left to right. I also didn't worry about getting that circle totally in the center. It's just the best I could and where it landed. And now I'm adding the pigment. So I hope you're doing well. I'm hoping that this is inspirational for you to consider doing your own. Now that this one has just set that amount of time, I'm drying my brush off on a paper towel, and I'm going to lift. And I'm just scooping up paint, putting it on the paper towel, because I want the edges to be more defined than the middle. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to pick up some of the pigment in the middle of the petal. And it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. On to another petal. grabbing a little more pigment, water, more water, and I'm gonna wet the paper first. Wow, there was a little something floating in my water. This one's going right off the edge, which is fine. And I'm not worried about the washi tape necessarily holding down the color, holding the color back. If it bleeds in there, I'm not worried about that. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm just going to dot some color just right near the middle. Maybe coax it out a little. Same over here, just to make it a little bit darker towards the middle, but I'm just using the same color. All right, I'm going to do some lifting here. Okay, a little bit darker towards the center of the flower. And there we go. Okay, coming along, coming along. Now I'm gonna put one up here. And by doing this in kind of this compass fashion, you know, where I've got now the north, south, east, and west, it just helps me space the petals so they're not all bunched up on one area and more wild on another area. I'm gonna do a little bit more lifting over here. I'm gonna let that one sit a minute. And I'm gonna do one now in between these two. So I'm getting ready to retire, folks, from nursing. Yes, I am. And how do I feel about it? A little bit nervous. My YouTube channel, I only just recently, in like the past 6 months, got my 1,000 subscribers. And so that means I'm gonna start one kind of across. So it's not generating a whole lot of income, but in time, I'm still working on getting some digitals out there. Creating the digitals so far, I think I've pretty much got that enough. I mean, I'm going to keep growing in that ability, I hope. As time goes on, I'm going to start lifting here. But it's the technical part of getting them put together. I forget the name of that, where you lock all your files up together, and then getting them posted up on that Ko-fi page, K-O-F-I. I do have a Ko-fi page, but I need to do whatever I need to do to be able to get my printables up there for you. Okay, good. I'm gonna lift this one. Just kind of leaving a edge. Good. I'm going to add some more color to the closer to the center. See if I can kind of coax it out a little bit. Okay. These are looking okay. All right, keep going. Yeah, it's, I've worked honestly my whole life and happily as a nurse. My current client is about ready to graduate, where my client's not going to need a nurse at night, which is always our goal, is that our clients graduate to not need to have skilled nursing at their side. And I'm just not I'm lifting now. I'm just not going to take on another client. I'm going to get my Social Security, which is what we have in the United States, and get that activated. But it's scary a little bit. But I've prayed about it, and I feel like it's just the next logical thing. And we'll see. Okay, I'm liking it. I'm going to keep going. Oh, I need some. Well, I'm going to put some more pigment in there in my little space and water it down. I'll show you this again. Just watery paint. Okay, now I'll get a petal over here. The petals on my right are a little bit harder for me to see, just because of the way that the lighting is and all. But yeah, we'll make it work. Real watery. Good. Okay, let that one sit a minute. Now I want to go to where things seem a little bit drier, like this one and this one, but now this one's still pretty wet. That's obviously very wet. I think these two might be my best bet. We're going for it. I'm not going to add any more water now. I'm just going to use a watery color, and I'm going to and they're going to overlap. Okay, and I'm going to lift. You can definitely see the definition here more than here, and that's because this one was drier. So I may need to just kind of pause. I'm going to put some of the darker shade at the bottom of this one. And I may just need to let these dry a little bit. I'm going to put a little more dark here. Okay, we're going to do some dry time, and then I'll be back. Well, that was just a little bit of dry time. You can see I'm raising up here, and that's from the heat of the heat gun. I did use my heat gun. I'm going to redo this edge. And we'll just kind of see where that gets us. I'm just kind of a little repair, but that's all right. Okay. This one Oh, came out very strange. I'm just gonna give it a little more help. It'll be fine though. Okay. All right, let's go moving over this way. And again, I'm just gonna use my pigment and like that. Coming along. Good. I'm gonna dry my brush and lift. Good. I'm going to add a little more pigment and more water. And I'm going to start right here. Good. Lift a little. Nice. Add a little of the dark. Not really very dark, is it? But that's all right. Good. A little here. Good. Okay. And add another petal. Certainly nothing exact going on here. Dry my brush. Pick up some paint. And do you see how we're getting these areas where the one is, you can like see through? That's what I wanted. I just wanted these petals to be, transparent. It's one of the things that I like so much about watercolor is the transparency. A little bit darker in the middle here. Every petal is not going to be the same, and neither are they on a flower. Okay, I'm grabbing up some paint. And there's another petal. Dry my brush. A little bit darker towards the center. Nice. I like the way this is coming along. Now, I haven't seen this on Pinterest or anywhere. Just thinking about how I can use my watercolor and make some more writing spaces for my journal. Okay, I'm gonna lift. And grab a little more color just right here. We're getting there. Okay, one over here. That one came out pretty pale as it is, which is fine. I'm still gonna lift. And I'm gonna add some darker towards the middle here. I'm gonna touch into the pigment. I just added a little bit of pigment to my mix. Now this is probably gonna be really dark. Not too bad. I'm gonna move it around a little bit. Lifting a little. There. We'll see if I can just kind of level this out a little bit. All right. All right. It's looking good. I think what I'd like to do is add another row of smaller. I think that would look really pretty. Before I do that though, I'm going to get a smaller brush. This one. This one is a Royal Langnickel and it's a number 3 round. And I'm going to be using more pigment than I have. I'm still using my little watery dish. And going into some of these, I'm drying my brush off a little. And I just want color at the tip. I'm going to add some little veiny lines. Just like that. I'm going to go to this one, looks like it's on top more. Nothing real specific. I'm just kind of picking out where I think and one is more under than over. Nice. Now this is going to get blurred up a little bit with another row of flowers, petals, but that's okay. All right. Yes, I like that. Okay. Back to the watery red and the big brush. And I'm going to add a little more pigment, more water. I'm just going to have to kind of test this because I want it just a little bit darker, but not a whole lot darker. And I think I'm going to start right here. Now, I'm not so much worried about now going north, south, east, west, because I already kind of have my guideline. And I think we've got a pretty nice evened out area. You know, the petals don't look all bunched up on one side and spread out on another. So I'm just going to start with some smaller petals, kind of in between. And yes, they're darker, but I kind of wanted that. They'll still be transparent. Nice. I'm going to go kind of every other and then come back in between. Kind of irregular. And, you know, if you really liked what you had at the beginning, don't be afraid to come back and do like I'm doing. I mean, I've got that on my mind. You know, am I going to ruin it? No, you're not going to ruin it. Worst case scenario, I just say, you know, this just didn't work out. Now, I didn't have a real specific thing in my mind because I kind of avoid that. That sets me up for disappointment. I just like to have a basic idea and then just kind of let it happen. Yep, I'm liking it. So yes, retirement. Like I said, it's a little scary because what my retirement salary will be is not quite enough for me to live on. Not quite. Almost. And you know, if you followed my channel at all, I budget. I buy a lot of things from secondhand, garage sales, thrift stores are my friend. I recycle, I reuse. I don't buy a lot of product. But I'm hoping that by getting digitals up there that maybe people will consider purchasing, and my videos getting a little bit wider audience. You know, all in time. Okay, I'm going to give this a dry and I'll be back. I believe that it's dry enough that I'm going to put another row in between of the small ones. So again, more water into my little pan. And like I said, you can use a paper plate for this. You don't have to have a dish like this with wells and all that. I mean, if you have it, great, use it. They even have some palettes at the Dollar Tree. They do. Okay, I'm drying my brush off because it's awfully wet. And now I'm just going into this pigment and I'm doing the same thing. Not enough pigment. Adding a little more pigment. I can't even really quite see where I was. I was right here. There we go. Now it's a little dark. I just added a little more water. And I'm going to lift a little. All right, a little more water to the mix. And let's see what the next one looks like. Good. That's nice and transparent. Another one. Good. Little bit paint. Those of you who have retired, was it scary? Was it scary to make that decision to pull the plug on your income and just go onto your Social Security? I don't have like a pension or anything like that. Even some of my nurse friends that had them, they went away during one of the recessions or whatever. I know some nurses, not particularly friends of mine, but acquaintances, had to go back to work because of what had happened to their pensions. But, I wasn't that long out of nursing school. And I graduated from nursing school in 78. So there, you can see how far back. They were already taking away retirement benefits then. Was not long after that at all that there was not going to be health care where I was working. Once you retired, you couldn't stay with a health care plan. So yeah. Okay. How we doing here? Just about made it all the way around again. Nice. I am liking this. Okay. I am going to dry my large brush. I'm going back to this small brush, but this was a very inexpensive brush, and it's a little bit more splayed, spread out than I would like. I'm just gonna hunt around in that one's pretty splayed. My brushes are very few of them are what you would consider expensive. I think I'm gonna go with this. This one I know is a Master's Touch, but it's a liner brush. And when you get it wet, it goes together. And I'm just going to see if I can outline some of these petals that we started with. Just like this. Starting with the ones that seems to me to be on top. And I'm liking this. We've just been using one color through this whole process. And I'm happy with that. Good. Now I'm going to go to the petals that were more behind. And I am not outlining in a precision fashion at all. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is it something you're going to try? I'm liking this. I really am. Okay. Now, I'm going to work on I'm going to get that one brush that I said was not that great. It's great enough for what I want to do next. We're going to add some color. Ooh, another color. I've got this one called English Red, kind of a brownish shade. And I'm just going in here and I'm just going to put it right here. I'm not using that much. I do want it a little bit watery, but not like what we've been doing. And I just want to put kind of a dot, 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 dot all around now this edge. And some of this red may still be wet enough that some of the brown goes up into I don't care. I just want this kind of stippled look around this edge. I think it's going to help anchor so that these petals don't just look like they're floating. My color's getting lighter, so I'm just adding a little bit more pigment. I'm liking it. So I went to call Social Security. Well, I didn't want to call them, but I wanted an appointment, and because I wanted to sit with an agent and fill out the application stuff. Well, it's impossible. And I live in the Grand Rapids area, and it's Grand Rapids Social Security office that I need to go to. And I know they are just so understaffed and overburdened, but it's just do it online, do it online, do it online. So I filled it all in online. Took about 45 minutes maybe. Did the best I could, but all over you are getting these warnings that if you don't state things right, and they mean in a fraudulent way, but that you can get like perjury charges and stuff. I mean, it's scary. But they do have an end where you can put comments, and there are things about it that, because you're going back through your whole life of work history and what have you, where you can just put like, I wasn't sure about this answer, so this is an estimate and stuff like that. And I just put in there, I did the best I could. If it's wrong, it's not on purpose. I'm willing to work with you, so will that make a difference? I don't know. There's those that will say in a quick moment, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's sort of like eating food that you didn't prepare yourself. You just pray over it and eat it. I just pray over it and fill it out as best as I can. And I pulled documents out. I didn't just guess everything. I don't really think I guessed much of anything, but you're just kind of hoping, is this what they mean? Is that what they mean? Okay. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to take my big brush. We know that brown is still a little wet. I have a 2-weld container. And this is the reason why I'm going to go into the clean water. First, I'm going to go into the dirty water and give it a really good swish of my brush. Now I'm going into the clean. So I'm hopefully not adding color. And this is just wet, but I'm going to just go right around this edge. And I would say that I just went in the clean water again. Half, I'm like wetting half of the width. I'm bringing it around. just to soften it up. And now I'm going to bring this all the way across. And it's going to take away that total whiteness. But I still want to write in the middle, you know, so I'm not going to add a pattern or anything like that. My handwriting, I'm hoping I think it will, be like the finishing touch of the center of this flower. All right. I'm liking this. I hope you do. I'm just looking for any little places that might be dry that I didn't hit on the way around. All right. Okay. So this is going to be my next writing paper. Let's close this up. And it's already coming apart. And as I say, that's from the heat gun. That's okay. We'll see what we've all got going on here. Alrighty. And because watercolor paper really doesn't fold that well, it's not designed to fold. That's why I put this on my printer and scan it and let it make a copy for me. And that's what I use and what I'm going to be using in my journal. All right. I'm going to give this a sign. I think this project was easy and fun. And this is 9 of 2024. All right. Well, I hope that you like this. And next time we get together, I'll go ahead and show you this and with the pages that we already got, and we'll get caught up together. But in the meantime, if you like my content, please consider hitting the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Today's a perfect day. Over here, another video is going to pop up that's been picked out for you. I'll see you over there.